Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast, the podcast for wildlife habitat management, hunting strategy, and land stewardship. And now, your host, Jared Van Hees.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast.
I'm your host, Jared Van Hees, and we're here to become better habitat managers. Welcome back, everybody. It is June 27th when this is live. It is midsummer here at the Habitat Podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. We have my good friend and co-owner of Vitalized Seed Company on the line tonight, Mr. Tomechko. Guys, today we're talking about fall food plots. We talk about different ways you can put in fall food plots, no matter what kind of equipment you have. Till versus no-till, different ways of termination. We also talk about carbon load, my favorite food plot mix here at Vitalized Seed, which is a fall mix. 17 different types of seed in that mix. We are going to tell you all about the new stuff with carbon load and the new products launching with Vitalized Seed, which will be live on the website for pre-order as soon as you're listening to this podcast. We are helping our soil and our plants naturally, organically, with fertility and soil amending products. We have 3 foliar products and 1 granular product we talk about on this podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Get ready. 4th of July is next week. Fall food plot season, July, end of July, early August, will be here before you even know it. I know I am feeling the stress or the anxiety. Everybody's excited about deer season coming and big bucks coming. I got stuff to do, man. I have things to do. I did just contract 15 stumps to be removed out of the parking area at the landing site at the 40 for the Habitat Day, August 9th. Put that in your calendars. Hopefully the property dries up a little bit before that. We're going to have everybody bring some muck boots. I have a semi-load of fill dirt coming in to help level off that parking area where we're going to have, the tents, the vendors, the food, everything at the HP 40 Habitat Day here in, I guess that's about 6 weeks. So that's coming up. One thing I'm excited about, I picked up my face-off e-bike this week. I went up to Traverse City. I sat down with Kevin Vistison at the Deer Hunter podcast, did a podcast with him. He was nice enough to grab my bike from Dieter at Face Off E-Bikes a couple weeks back. Face Off E-Bikes is out of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The man, the myth, the legend, Dieter Koken, is the guy when it comes to the company. He builds the bikes, he comes up with the new technology, he assembles the bikes, he sells the bikes, he ships the bikes, everything. Dieter Koken is the man up there. If you guys have any questions about these e-bikes, just give them a call. I'm running the Hunter, the 52 volt. It's freaking awesome, man. I rode Kevin's when I was there, and man, that thing has some power and is quiet. So I cannot wait to put that to the test at the Northern 70, the 40, when I go to Iowa this fall. That thing will be strapped to the back of my truck. And I urge you guys, if you're going to be at the Habitat Day, you can see it firsthand. You can ride it. You can check it out. If you're going to our Patreon hunt, for Patreon members only in West Virginia in October, Andy and I will both have our Face-Off e-bikes there to check out. Give them a shout. Face-Off e-bikes. Give Dieter a call. Most down-to-earth guy in the world. Super nice guy. Run your questions by him. And they are the best mobile hunting units, transportation, silent in the industry, guys. These bikes are no Amazon e-bike. They are the Hummer of the e-bike world. All right. We'll get into it now. Albert, Vitalized Seed, fall food plots, be here before you know it. Tune in next week. We have another great episode coming from southern Minnesota. And guys, appreciate all the reviews, all the feedback. Thank you to our partners, and thank you to our listeners. Have a great weekend.
This podcast is brought to you by Latitude Outdoors. Guys, Latitude Outdoors is one of the top saddle hunting manufacturing companies in the world, here headquartered in Michigan. Guys, I've worked with Kevin, Alex, the guys over there at Latitude. I've been using their products for over 3 seasons here at Habitat Podcast. The first deer I shot was that first big buck on the 15 acres out of my Method 2 saddle. That buck, I shot him out of the saddle using the climbing sticks, the platform, everything to get up, and that saddle is just very versatile when selecting a tree. That's the first time I hunted that tree on the 15 acres. I climbed up that day and was able to make the shot and a follow-up shot on that buck in that saddle. Guys, the saddle is so easy to use. You literally strap it on like a seat belt, like a belt. It's all ropes. There's no metal components. There's no chinging and banging and clunking. I wrap it around, I step into it, I cinch it down, and I'm on my way out. I also use their Carbon Speed Series climbing sticks. I got those brand new this year. I've been using those all over bow hunting and gun hunting, from public land to private. Very lightweight, easy to carry, stackable sticks. I ended up putting cell strips on mine and using daisy chains. They compact very well, hang out of the bottom of my pack. And when I'm wearing the Method 2 saddle, I can easily pick any tree in the woods and hunt. Guys, if you're looking for a way to outfit your property without spending $200 per stand, like I'm gonna do on the new 40, I'm gonna prep a bunch of saddle trees and keep the deer guessing on where I'm sitting. They will not know my true stand location because I will not have one. Guys, saddles are very versatile. I urge you to check them out. Latitude Outdoors. Again, I've been using them for years and they are great products. Latitude Outdoors, thank you for supporting the Habitat Podcast.
Albert,
Hey,
welcome
buddy.
back, buddy.
How are you, man?
Good. Happy Friday. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, happy Friday to you too. If we get any more rain, I'm going to start building an ark.
I know. I was just lamenting about that a little bit on my podcast I launched last week, trying to get stuff done at the 40, and there's every time I go there's more water. It's like I'm not going to curse it, but it's definitely holding me back a little bit.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, as many people have heard me say probably too many times, but it's like it was such a terribly dry year last year. I mean, just record-breaking dry, right? I mean, there were federal funds paid out to farmers for trying to help because they sold off cows. I mean, it was really, really tough. But to go to that or go from that to I got a little rain gauge here at the house, and I think in the last 3 days, I've dumped out 6 inches of rain, at least in the last week. Like I've emptied it 2 times in probably 4 days, and it was like at 3 inches both times. And I'm like, that's just an insane amount of rain. But I'm lucky because we got the food plots planted. Like we were already getting pretty good rain, but I mean, then I planted and we've been pretty consistently getting really good rain. So yeah, they're looking pretty darn good, which is better than having total drought conditions.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna regret the rain or curse the rain, not yet. So. But it's exciting because we're first day of summer today. This podcast will launch in a week. And man, I'm already thinking about fall food plots. We've been working really hard on a bunch of new products we're going to cover here today. Carbon load starting to go out the door for guys who are as eager as we are about this stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to cover this stuff with you here today. It's going to be great. And by the time this launches, it'll be time to start prepping and get ready, and hopefully we continue to get that rain come late July, early August. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, depending on where you're at in the country, we've been getting some calls from guys in the Northeast this week, and they're like, can I still get in Nitro Boost? I mean, you can, right? I mean, the big thing with Nitro Boost is going to be that if you get it in late and you don't have that 60 to 90 days of growing time, you're obviously going to just set back the opportunity for it to reach its maximum potential. But with that being said, it's still better than nothing in a lot of cases. Now, the caveat to that is this gentleman I talked to, not that I should talk us out of seed sales, I haven't even told you this, but we always want to be honest and do our customers right. And he contacted me and he's like, but I have carbon load in there right now. It looks phenomenal. He was in, I think, New Hampshire or Vermont, so relatively far north. And he's like, and it's been really wet. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to plant it till like the first week of July. So after he and I talked, it's like, you know what? I would probably just let the carbon load go for this year and then just kind of get everything ready and then plant that around. He's going to plant around the first or second week of August and go right back in, which is a great plan. However, there was a gentleman yesterday, I think, or today, who ordered some, and he's in Alabama. Well, they're probably not going to put fall plots in Alabama until probably Labor Day, or maybe even a little bit later, depending on what the weather patterns look like, your rainfall. So if you're in that situation, then yeah, you do have. I mean, we got at least 60 days, if not more, before you'd be planting something. There have been many years where, not many, there have been years where I've gone back after a drought or whatever, I had some extra seed, and I'm like, you know what? I know rain's coming. I'm just gonna fill in some gaps, or I'm just gonna drill through this field to see, what else I can get to pop up, because it's been dry and I know rain's coming in 3 days. And there's a lot of years I don't, but I'm just saying, like, it's not typically going to hurt. But you're just, when you do that, you're not going to get the full length of the plant out of it. But it's still going to feed soil. It's still going to feed deer. They'll get on it within probably 5 days if you get some rain to get germination. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm excited, man. We got a lot going on. New dealers too. We didn't even talk about that in the pre-record before. We're talking about everything we want to cover, but we've added some new dealers, more coming online shortly. So definitely reach out to those folks. I mean, we're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, good point. I want to emphasize that before we get into fall here, the dealers are going to be your cheapest seed, best pricing, and they're also a great resource to have in your neck of the woods if you have one nearby. We always push guys to dealers first, because if you got a guy who's a good resource on the road and you can save a few bucks, why not? And we need them and we want them. And if you want to be a dealer as well, and you don't have one in your neck of the woods based on our website, definitely reach out. That being said, the dealers are all putting in their carbon load orders right now and fall seed orders. So why don't we kick it off with my favorite mix, carbon load. What's new this year? Let's just cover a little bit on what's changed with that, so everybody's up to speed.
Yeah, so obviously this mix has changed, but not very much. We've pretty much kept it the same since before we started the company. So we've tried to keep it pretty true to our roots. Again, one of the things that we're very, very proud of is to continue to keep our ratios within the mix. What we believe is the absolute best for the majority of our growers, which is making sure you get the most bang for your buck, with it being 55% grains. And then, of course, having a good portion of that, 10% of the mix in brassicas. And then having the remainder be in legumes. We do have a little bit of buckwheat that's broadleaf, and we do also have chicory in there. But I mentioned that because we feel that really sets us apart. It's way more economical to be like, well, we're going to have this 70, 80, 90% grains. But as I always say, I'm not going to sell anything that I'm not going to use on my farm. So to me, I would rather have, our ratio, and you could just bump up the seed rate a little bit if you have a high deer density like I do on my farm. So I might drill, instead of at 45 pounds the acre, 55 pounds, right? If you're broadcasting, maybe you're at 55 to 60 pounds, right? But that's really where it comes in. You could also, if you have a really high deer density, we could do a bulk order of just plain rye grain or something if you wanted to add that afterwards. Or if you go to a local co-op or something like that, you can do that. Just be cognizant of the source in which you're getting it. Make sure it's cleaned and certified. That's something I really like. Guys will say, I got this cheap XYZ bin run. Well, bin run can often mean it's coming straight from a combine to a bag or to a bulk bin or something like that, which means if that combine went through a field of mare's tail or anything that you don't want in there, it could still be in there, right? So just something to think about when you're doing that. But we really are proud of that in our mix. Some of the new things for this mix is the bulk ordering options. So it's really just like economies of scale, not trying to hide anything, trying to be fancy here. It's better for us. So instead of us just saying, yeah, buy a bunch and we're just going to keep any profit. No, like we want to pass savings on and incentivize people to buy more. So whether you get a couple guys together and you buy a half pallet or a full pallet, there's a break there. And I think the breaks start about 5 acres and they work their way all up. That really took off with Nitro Boost. We had several people take advantage of that. I would expect that to also happen quite a bit. We've already had a couple of people with Carbon Load take advantage of it as well. So that is something that's new for this year as far as Carbon Load goes. We did offer that with Nitro Boost. And just while I'm on it, we pretty much are going to have that across the board on products. If you're buying, 2, 3, 4, depending on the product, going to try to offer you a little bit of a break. So that way there's a lot of guys who are in hunt clubs or leases together, and they can get together, pull their money together and do something together that way and make it a little bit more efficient, get it all to one location and save a little bit of money. Let's get into the nuts and bolts. So, I mean, this year, Carbon Load is buckle up, but it's actually 17 species. So really everything is the same. We got fall triticale, winter wheat, rye, grain, and oats. We keep oats at the smallest percentage. Oats are an amazing crop. They grow quickly. They work as a good nurse crop. However, in most of the whitetails range, not all, but a good portion of the whitetails range throughout the Midwest and the upper Midwest, your oats are going to die off. Most hunters that we talk to, work with, get feedback from, they really want something that's not only going to feed deer through fall and winter, but they also want something that's going to suppress weeds and grow into next year. And that's why we skew our the grain portion of our mix a little bit more towards the rye grain, winter wheat, and triticale for that winter hardiness, as well as having the diversity of browse, right? Because some guys will say deer love triticale, and the other guy says they don't. Well, having a nice even distribution of those different grains kind of lets them pick. We pair those oats with buckwheat. Also, which I'm jumping around a little bit, but I just mentioned that because buckwheat's another crop. Why would you plant it in the fall? Plant it in the fall because it grows quickly. It's phosphorus scavenger. We could get into the weeds of like what it does from a soil perspective, but really what it does well from a fall forage perspective is it grows quickly, can act as a nurse crop while your other legumes, clovers primarily in this mix, and or brassicas get established, right? So a lot of times in high deer density areas, people say, I can't grow brassicas or something like that. Well, you have a much higher likelihood of succeeding when you partner like we have with this oats and buckwheat. And also it's pretty cool to have buckwheat as a late season for pollinators. It's a really good pollinator crop also. What's nice too with those is as they die, say in your first frost in Ohio, it's right around October 15th, those die, but everything else is still green. And we're almost guaranteed to have a couple of days in the 70s after that. And the rest of the plot is wanting to grow. And now you have a natural food source for the microbes that are also going to then almost act as a slow release fertilizer for those additional crops. So let's talk about, some other things. So our legumes in this mix, we always have our winter peas. We have hairy vetch, Kentucky Pride Crimson Clover, Frosty Berseem, Fixation Balanza. And this year we actually added a new clover to this mix, which is I'm excited about. It's Persian Enhanced. It's a really early bigger with a really good palatability for deer. So it's very attracting and it's really good in cold climates, which when we tested this out, I was really impressed with that clover and why I wanted to add it to the mix. Not that we want to do 17 seeds, but I just felt like it was too good of an add-on in getting nice clover stands post-winter in conjunction with some brassicas reseeding as well as the grains and chicory has just been really, really awesome for us. And really the customer feedback has been phenomenal. So by adding that additional clover, we're really excited about that. The last couple items I'll hit on for, kind of what's new or what stayed the same, I should say. Chicory, we're going to keep that in. It just does well. It's a workhorse. And then we have our 10% of this mix is going to continue to be your brassicas for various reasons, from soil health to whitetail attractiveness. And we're going to talk about that being the radish, the purple top turnip. You have a bark gnat turnip, Paja brassica, and Winfred brassica. So what that gives you, just like our monoculture brassica mix, if you're interested in that, is instead of just doing tuber production or just doing forage production, we blend those together at the right ratios to make sure that you get best of both worlds. Well, why is that important? Again, some people say, oh, my deer love forage brassicas, they don't like tuber production. Some people want something that's going to help with compaction, a radish, deep nitro radish, deep root radish, groundhog radish, whatever you want to call it, right? Those are inherently good for breaking up subsurface soil compaction. Well, some people want that, but they also want something else. And then they're trying to piece the meal together. We've done it for you, whether it's in our 6-pound brassica mix or in the carbon load. You get a blend of both types of brassicas, not only for attractiveness, but also for diversifying what the root systems look like in the soil. Why are forage brassicas important? Well, one, they're a lot more per pound, so it's not easier to keep those in there. It would actually be the opposite. It'd be much easier to leave them out. But again, we're not going to use anything we're not going to plant on our own farm. We have high deer densities, both Jared and I. So why do we use those forage? Because they're bred, just like why do we use a forage quality Eagle bean in our spring mix? Because they're bred that when they get bit, they will continue to grow, or at least in most cases. I mean, if you get a soybean bit off as soon as it sprouts, I don't care what it is. It's unless it's made out of titanium, it's pretty much done for. But with these, we really are trying to mitigate the risk of having a plot failure. And I'm pretty sure, you won't be able to achieve that then because of those forage varieties combined with everything else. And that's really, that's what's kind of new. I would say we're doing some new things on the website. We're going to be adding some additional information on the pages just to make it a little bit, I love our website. We just want to make it more user-friendly. One thing we'll say, for zones, 3 to 6, you're probably early to mid-August for this blend. That's going to be on the website by hopefully next Friday. So hopefully when this launches, zone 7 and 8, so kind of that mid to deeper south. Well, let's just say 6 to 8, right? So you're going to be, mid-August to mid-September, depending on exactly where you fall within those regions. We're going to have some frequently asked questions on the website. That's kind of it. I don't know. What are your that was kind of a lot of information, I think, but hopefully people thought that was useful. I guess one other thing I'll mention on that before I cut myself loose is, we do have a lot of people using this, not just for food plots, but we have a lot of people using this for cover cropping, whether it's for row crop agriculture. We are really excited to be working with a pretty large scale farmer for some row crop agriculture. He's going to be using our drone this year to get some of our mixes or our mix over soybeans. In full transparency, it's not exactly carbon load, but it's pretty darn close to it. And, we can obviously do that for folks as well for bulk single or bulk options. But we also have people doing this stuff for, I use it in my garden, orchards. We have flower farmers that are using it like crazy. They absolutely love it. Shout out to Lindsay there. So yeah, that's kind of it. And I'll let you take it from there, buddy.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people love this mix, and we've got nothing but great feedback on this mix since we launched it at the birth of the company. But I'll close with free shipping on everything you just mentioned with this and with every other product on our website. So I'm pumped. I'll be getting mine going for my land plan clients, for some of the guys we partner with, as well as my own here pretty soon. Carbon load version 3 or 4 is ready to go on the website right now. Continuing with new things going on at Vitalize, we have a bunch of new products we're gonna list here. Let's start with the no-till nurture, brand new special kind of fertilizer product, organic fertilizer product we're coming out with this fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's no secret. We're both pretty obsessed with growing things, right? So whether it's, I actually help manage a couple yards even where I've pulled soil samples that give recommendations to, the blueberry patch Dad and I do together, to a little orchard that Dad has of like 20 some trees that we're always doing together. Plus, I don't know, between the two of us, we got about 120 tomato plants, I think, plus peppers and everything else, right? So like we like to grow stuff. I know you're in the same boat. And really, when it comes down to no-till, I don't know how many soil tests I look at a year. Probably 1,000. Maybe it's a little bit more than that, since we started the company. Sometimes somebody sends you 15 as one person. So, it adds up pretty quickly. And one of the things that I always end up talking to people about is like, well, how are you planting, right? And what are your goals as far as planting goes? And maybe I would assume that our perspective is skewed based on kind of our ethos and our go-to-market and everything is really revolving around like sound agronomic science, and blending that into a regenerative agriculture, which doesn't mean we're anti-herbicide, doesn't mean that we're never use a synthetic, but really trying to understand how do these things work, how do they work in the soil, how do they impact the soil, and ultimately how do they impact the plant, right? And a lot of this we're learning, we're continuing to learn. We're leaning on people who have PhDs in some of this stuff from Ward Labs, and we're bouncing ideas off of them. Rebecca and I talking about the ruminant studies, and I mean, that was super fascinating, and continuing to learn about not only how are we growing plants, but how are they impacting kind of the downstream. But it's no secret that one of the big issues with fertility or fertilizers is, well, urea, let's just say nitrogen, right? In synthetic form. Well, what does everybody say? You better get it down before rain. So you have this conversation with a guy or gal, and they go, well, my property's 4 hours away. Like, if I'm there, I'm either fertilizing or I'm not, right? Okay, I get it. Well, you just realize you might, after 48 hours, you lose so much, so on and so forth.
It volatilizes.
Yep. Exactly. It goes back in. Or if you get too much rain, you could leach it out and it just goes away depending on soil type and all these other factors. So then you get into, potassium. So I'm going to skip phosphorus for a second, go to potassium. So potassium comes up into the discussion. Well, that's really a tricky one because in some soils it really doesn't move very much at all. In other soils, it's a relatively leachable nutrient, specifically lighter soils. So it's like, well, that's kind of tricky because how are you applying it? Well, again, I'm in a no-till situation. Well, it doesn't move a ton, so we probably want to get some rainfall right before applying it. And then lastly, phosphorus. It's like, well, gosh, my soil test says I have 8 ppm phosphorus, parts per million phosphorus, and I need to put phosphorus down. Okay, and are you tilling or not? Oh no, I'm no-till. I don't want to use any tillage. Okay, well then you need to go source manure because throwing phosphorus on top is really pretty useless. And it's been proven, I mean, both anecdotally and scientifically. I mean, there's a bunch of research out there that shows phosphorus in mobility. I actually wrote a blog on it, I think 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And I linked some different studies, I believe, on that blog. If not, I'll do another one here in the future and link some studies to it. But it just doesn't move. So there is an issue with, well, how do I get phosphorus into the root zone? Now, if you're a farmer and you're running a 2x2, right? Well, that's a lot different. You're literally putting it where the seed's going to get.
Yeah, I'm not a farmer.
90% of guys don't have access to that, right? To be able to place the seed and your fertility exactly where they want it. So that leaves us to, well, what options do you have? Another one I mentioned to start off, your lawn. Well, what if you have a perennial lawn, right? And you're like, well, I want this to green up, but like, I'm not able to just put down urea. I don't want to burn my lawn. I don't have irrigation. How can I manage this? What about tomatoes? Well, I want to get this, but I'm in a no-till setup for my garden. Well, how am I going to get this in? So really it comes down to, well, you can try to source manure, but there's problems with manure. One being it needs to be composted. You really need to know what was the animal consuming before having the manure. Now, I'm not anti-manure. If you have a good source for manure, I would recommend testing it, right? But typically, I've had people test manure, and in order to get a decent amount of nutrients, it takes a lot to get it down because it can be pretty, it's not super nutrient dense all the time. And again, it depends on the manure source and stuff. But I had a situation this year. I lost some tomato plants I had bought from a local I guess nursery, you could say, some to fill up a planter bed to transplant some tomato plants. It was a manured or composted manure, like topsoil. And I put plants in there and I lost a pile of them. And the only thing I could come up with was that there was a residual herbicide in there. So it hadn't composted long enough. If there was a 18-month period before they were supposed to feed that hay, right? Before they were supposed to harvest that hay or whatnot. Let's say somebody, last year was a drought. Maybe that impacted. They caught hay early. There was a shorter cut, but whatever it could have been, right? And it did not get all the way through. But I'm talking, within 12 hours, these plants were dead. And it's like, even a pH inadequacy or something like that typically wouldn't have that. I've grown a lot of tomato plants in my life. I've never seen anything like that. And then lastly, with manure, the question I get a lot is, well, how do I source it? Right? A lot of guys have no idea how, which is fair. I mean, it can be hard. And also like, well, now how do I do it? I got a standard pickup and shovel it into a pickup. Okay, yeah, now I get to my place. Now what do I do? Shovel it into your buggy. Okay, do you have a manure? No. Well, now what do you do? Well, I'm going to drive around and shovel it. Like most growers like ourselves, you're busy, you have family, you have children, time's limited. It's like, I got this much time. So all of that to say, we wanted to come up with something that is organic in nature, that's going to be derived from some of these things, or from some of the nutrients in here, are from manures that go through extensive testing and things like that. So there's actually no smell to this, or there's no manure smell.
That's crazy. Have you guys used a Packer Max Cultipacker yet? I know that being the first partner of the Habitat podcast, I've been using one for over 5 years now. Guys, cultipacking is one of the highest rated and highly overlooked part of your food plot system. It helps maintain soil moisture, keeps it in the soil, improves seed to soil contact when you press those seeds into the dirt, and ensures superior seed germination for all seed types. I do not plant a food plot without cultipacking. Guys, Packer Max and Lincoln over there, great company, great people. They have 5 different cultipackers available at packermax.com, and they also have a roller crimper combo attachment for the Packer Max. So that's what I use. I can crimp, I can pack, I can do everything with my Packer Max crimper combo. They even came out with a 6-foot unit at packermax.com. Guys, be sure to utilize this piece of equipment when you're planting food plots to get the best success in your seed germination. Check them out, packermax.com. We have a code HPC25 at checkout to save money. This segment is brought to you by Downburst Seeders. Guys, you know I've been using a Downburst up at the Northern 70 on my 5 acres of food plots, and man, did I have success last year with this machine. This attaches to the back of, could be a tractor, I use my quad, it could be a side-by-side. Precision seeding, precise seed rates. It's compact, it's lightweight, simple operation. I fill and go, fill and go, fill and go. And I had a perfect stand of Nitro Boost and carbon load up at the Northern 70. That's right, Doug designed this thing to take Vitalized Seed mixes, which is a very diverse program. We use a Vitalize. Doug's Downburst DS860 drop seeder will do it, and I've used it and I love it. Guys, it's all aluminum. This thing is beautiful. It's a Northern Michigan made piece of art, like I've said before. I urge you to check it out. Doug's been making these himself, shipping them out to our listeners one by one. And man, if you want something to plant expensive seeds like clover, brassica at the exact rate, check out a Downburst seeder. Doug over at downburstseeders.com will get you taken care of. Tell them Habitat Podcast sent you. There's even a discount for you.
Which is really awesome, and why I was super excited about this product, because if you did want to put it on your lawn or in your garden or anything like that, and you live in an area where maybe you have a near neighbor, you don't have to worry about like, oh my gosh, this is going to stink, and sometimes even people got a food plot right by the house or something, if whether they live there full time, and they're like, I don't want the kids to be like, oh, this streaks. So you don't have to deal with that either, which is a big win. But the most important thing is we call this product no-till nurture. And you can, of course, use it in a conventional method. Like all of our products, you're going to have humic and fulvic bases to this. Also with some additional things to act as microbial food to jumpstart microbes, right? We want to feed our microbes. That's a good thing. And then you're going to have things that are going to be very stable because they're organic forms of NP and K. What that allows for it to do is we're basically mitigating our risk of losing nutrients. So instead of saying I need to put down 400 pounds of triple 13 in the hopes of getting, per acre, in the hopes of getting 10, we're saying put down, 40 to 80 pounds of this product, and the chance of it all getting down into your soil and root zone is way higher. Let's just explain that for a second. It's because it's in organic forms. Now, you're also going to have some soil conditioning aspects as well as microbial stimulation because of some of the other products we add in there, like the humics, the fulvics, and some microbe food. But when that happens, worms and microbes are going to eat organic forms of NP and K. They're going to move back through the soil cycle and they're going to defecate. Now you have your nitro booster, your carbon load growing in there. Those roots are going to assimilate it. They're eventually going to die. You're going to come back in with the next nitro booster carbon load planting, and those roots are going to grab it. And it's going to then cycle that through the root profile, all while driving some yield. So really for those low fertility soils, this is a great product to add. Humics, you can look up benefits of humics, just wrote a blog on that too, from soil conditioning, microbial stimulation, water retention, etc. So this product is one that I am super excited about. And the big thing is, we call this having the Vitalized smooth spread technology. We've tested this. You can put it down with some lime. I wouldn't put it down with lime on a barren field, but I have some fields that have carbon load in them. And when I was testing this product alongside a couple others, both in push spreaders, kind of your standard like lawn tractor tow behind, and of course, the big 3-point on a tractor at 540 RPMs. And this product flowed so smoothly. And what I found is I was able to cut it with a little bit of lime because this field it's like a 5.1 pH. And the results I have seen have been phenomenal, and literally putting down like 40 pounds to the acre. And I'm already seeing phenomenal results. Now, why I say I would not put it down on barren field, because, well, obviously if you get runoff, even if you're in no-till and there's nothing growing there and you put it down and then you get tons of hard rain and runoff, like it's not cemented there. Like it could go off, and you don't want that to happen. So if you have something growing green, or it's a perennial food, clover plot or alfalfa, or in the case of a Vitalized Seed product, getting it down with your lime. And you could also cut that with your, Vitalized core micros, which is our micronutrients. You could add that in there as well. Put it all in one pass now. So saving time, increasing nutrient fertility. But as always, as I promised to shut up, I still love to recommend a soil test. I use this stuff on my lawn. I should have taken pictures. I had a spreader that wasn't working, and it before I fixed it, why it wasn't spinning, it was just acting like a drop spreader. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's not working. And I realized that when Dad put it together, he forgot a pin, so it wasn't driving. And anyhow, so I come back and look, and there's 2 lines where I drove like a U, where the grass is like 12 inches higher and dark green. And then the rest of the yard is green, but not nearly the same. I mean, almost like a blue tint to it, because it's a fescue. I'm gonna have blue tint to it where that went down. So don't drop it like that, but just make sure you get a nice even spread. But because it does spread so smoothly and evenly, like I said, you can do it with a bag spreader all the way up to the big one behind the tractor, and I think you'll be happy. So that is a granular product. So again, it comes in a 40-pound bag. I don't love blind recommendations, but there are so many people that contact us like, I'm not going to take a soil test. I don't have time or whatever. So that's really where we're at, like 40 to 80 pounds to the acre. And then we're going to say, take a soil test and let's see where you're at the following year.
I love it. I mean, you're getting more of what you pay for, meaning you're not losing it like synthetics, right? You're going to, again, reduce your need for synthetics over time, like our goal has been since the beginning. I mean, the smooth spread technology, we want that, unlike manure, to spread perfectly with whatever kind of spreader you, I, or anybody has. I'm going to use it, and already am using it in my garden, on my lawn, and food plots here soon. It's a 3-6-1. We didn't cover that yet. It's a 3-6-1 would be the analysis on it.
That's right. Yep, it's a 3-6-1 organic fertilizer. And I mean, you also, though, again, you're getting the humics and fulvics, as well as the microbial food, which I think is really important, because we want that phosphorus in particular, right? But I mean, you want the nitrogen in organic form, because you simply don't want that to go to volatilize or just to leach, right? So that's going to be like a slower release nitrogen. So if you put it on right before planting, or as things are greening up, like I mentioned in the situation of me putting it with lime, you're going to get the benefits of that. the microbe food, right, is going to jumpstart feeding microbes, things like mycorrhizal fungi, all of those good things that are going to further help to drive that phosphorus. I always use the example of phosphorus is worms aren't going to eat mined phosphorus, but if there's something that's manure based or organic in nature, right, worms and beetles and all that kind of stuff will consume that. Not only that, but also your microbial systems are going to consume that and move those things through the soil and into the root zone.
It's mobile.
So I would tell people it becomes mobile versus a synthetic rock that just sits there. And that's where I will tell people, give it a try, because I can say when we first started doing this like 2 years ago, we went through a plethora of products. Some products didn't spread well. They were too fine. They were too thick. It's been an interesting, some stunk. I mean, that was just something where like, I just don't think this is going to be something a lot of folks want to use. So, I mean, we found a lot of products, but nothing that quite fit what we've done here. And I'm super excited to offer it. And like I say, just try it, because I can assure you, you put it down on your lawn or food plot or garden or anything like, you're going to be like, wow. Give it a week or so, get a little bit of rain, and you're going to be really impressed with the results. And obviously, if you have questions, give us a call anytime.
I love it. So that's our no-till nurture. Is a brand new product. Should be live for pre-order when this podcast hits. Next, we have 3 more items to mention that are more of a foliar or a sprayable liquid product. Go ahead.
Hey, just real quick, let's just touch on core micros so we just knock out the granular.
Okay, so I'll stay granular for a minute. Got it. And then we'll go to the liquids.
Yeah, so we did make a slight change. So guys, our Vitalized micros have been getting phenomenal feedback. I won't say all, but a majority of soil tests that I look at, folks are deficient in micronutrients. Can we unlock that, potentially over time, similar to the no-till nurture? Yeah, I mean, maybe, but what we find is there's a lot of people we talk to who are like, man, I like this idea of what y'all are doing, but I'm not ready to go completely zero amendments. I want to pick something up, or like on my farm, I haven't put down any fertility other than testing products in 10 years, 12 years. I don't even know how long it's been since I bought a bag of fertilizer. And I share that because if you have deer just continuously walking off your field, and we have a lot of deer, as I've mentioned many times, eventually you might come to a point where you're like, I need to either foliar apply this or granular apply this, and I want to get the benefit of both. So our Vitalized micros continue to be doing really well for us. Again, we recommend 22.5 to 25 pounds per acre, up to twice a year on that acre. And always we recommend doing a soil test. If you don't do a soil test and you're just like, I just know just because I've done it before, whatnot, that I'm going to need micros like, copper, magnesium, zinc, manganese, etc. Not magnesium, manganese, zinc, boron, and then we actually added molybdenum. The reason we added that is that actually helps to ensure that your legumes can fix nitrogen. So it's a really interesting one that is not often put in a lot of micronutrient packs. We also add calcium and sulfur and humics to this. So again, if you're just looking for, I want to just get a micro pack, I'm sure that you could go get that one. But what we try to always do is make sure that you get a little bit of everything in there. And that's where we have then put in, like I said, the calcium, the sulfur, the humics, the zinc, the manganese, the boron, and then now we added molybdenum just because that does enhance nitrate conversion and it supports legume fixation or nitrogen fixation in legumes, I should say. So I wanted to make sure that was something that we changed or added. And again, I wanted to touch on that we did build out a bulk pricing for the Vitalize. We are calling them the core micros just to emphasize the what they are, right? And that is that they are core micronutrients to fill that lowest hole in the bucket.
Yep. And that's a granular product as well. You could even mix those two together when spreading if you wanted to, I'm sure. So absolutely. We're trying to make everything so easy, guys. Yeah, we're just trying to make it so easy to put A and B, throw it in the spreader, go. Get done, get your plots planted, and then move on to the next project, right? So I love it. All right, we teased about it. 3 foliar application type products coming here. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the biocharge?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I think maybe we should start with some problems, just in general feedback we've gotten, both good, bad, and ugly. And one of the things is, I don't think there is a secret anymore that foliar products work. I mean, the response you see both from the soil, they're used in agriculture and in the pivot or in big spray rigs or used in various methods for small scale gardening and backpack sprayers. That was the word I was looking for. To the guys using four wheelers, right? And there's a plethora of products out there, but one of the things, the feedback that we got, especially when it comes to organic based nutrients, not necessarily organic certified, right? But I'm just talking organic based nutrients. You're not going to have the fear of burning plants like a liquid urea, right? They're very concentrated, so they're typically more money. But when you figure out, cost per acre per application, they probably get pretty close to some of these other things, because you might only be putting on an acre, let's say if you use 10 gallons of water, you might put 20 ounces, 40 ounces at the high end on some of these types of products, maybe 60 ounces at the high end, where, there's other products out there that are more of a synthetic based processed, 20 or something like that. And you look at it and you go, well, I got to, put 5 gallons down per acre with 30 gallons of water, right? So one of the things I like is the efficiency of some of these products, because I don't have time to fill up a sprayer to spray, what did I tell you? We drilled this spring, which is always a little less than fall. I think we drilled 14 acres. I don't have time to go, nor do I need to. I really only spray my worst off fields, so my newer fields, lowest fertility, heaviest browse, those type of fields I try to pick and choose, again, based on time. But I certainly don't have time to say, okay, I need to put down 60 gallons of water per acre for this application. That's just not going to work. So one of the things we want to make sure is they're high concentration products, right? The other issue that we got from a lot of people is clogging filters, clogging sprayers, clogging lines. And that's really where we wanted to develop, and have been working on this for a while. I mean, I would say over a year for sure. I don't know how many empty bottles I have of just different things I've tested through the ringer and sent things to people to test as well. But I'm pretty hands-on when it comes to this stuff, because again, I'm not going to sell it if I'm not going to use it on my own farm. And this is something where we came out with the smooth spray technology. And basically reformulated our previous Fish Plus Humix and added a lot of good stuff to it. So not only are you just going to get, you have some fish base there, right? And, you have NPK, of course, in there. You also are going to get 1.5% of that is going to also now be calcium. So we really wanted to sit back and go, okay, how can we make this to where there's no clogging? We wanted to add more food for microbes. So fish naturally is going to have some things in there that's going to act for food for microbes, but we also want to add some natural sugars. We also added things that are going to give you some trace minerals in addition to the fish. We also added humic and fulvic. And then I don't think I said this, but we also added some organic acid as well as some carbon compounds. So it's all carbon based here, plus with your humics, which is also carbon based as well, plus your trace minerals. So you're literally getting something that's super rich in amino acids, being the fish. Humic and fulvic are going to increase nutrient retention, right? It's going to improve soil structure. It's going to enhance uptake of the plants. Sometimes you can read about humic and fulvic having a growth hormone impact on plants to help them grow and help them to have higher root exudates and things like that. The natural sugars, it's going to be an immediate energy source for stimulating beneficial microbes, right, in your soil profile. So if you have a lot of thatch and you want to use this to help cycle some of that, if you're just trying to get the most out of a mix, you can do that. The organic acids and carbon compounds, those are going to do a couple things. One, it's going to add is chelation, so basically holding on to nutrients, making sure that nutrient transport occurs, as well as biological activity. One of the cool things is we actually found a natural way to add a surfactant in there as well. So a surfactant is like what you would use in your glyphosate, right? What is a surfactant? It reduces the surface tension of the water droplets. So the best analogy I can give to people is like if you have any type of newer dishwasher that are high efficiencies, they'll be blinking at you all the time and saying, hey, you got to put this rinsate in there. Like everyone used to be like, that's a bunch of BS, but they won't dry nearly as well. I don't think they get as warm. And it's all this high efficiency stuff. The reason they're so reliant on those rinse aids is because that rinse aid is a surfactant. So if you picture that dishwasher with a whole bunch of wine glasses in there and you just ran a 3-hour cycle, what ends up happening is if you don't use that rinse aid, you pull the wine glasses out and what is it covering? Water. If you use that rinse aid, it acts as a surfactant, which reduces the surface tension. So when that water hits those wine glasses, it spreads and gives you full coverage. So when the heat does hit those wine glasses, it dries because they're not trying to dry a dense droplet of water.
A big water drop, right.
It's trying to dry an even spread. So why is that good with an herbicide, or why is that good in this case with a foliar feed? Well, you're getting more coverage on the leaf, right? So a lot of times people think of a surfactant as a sticky agent. You're going to get plenty of sticky agent through all of the different things we've talked about, the natural sugars and things like that. So yeah, I mean, that's, we're calling it Vitalized Biocharge. We didn't want to just call it fish plus humics anymore because quite frankly, it's not. And it has this Vitalized smooth spray technology. I mean, guys, we've been running this through everything. I mean, at higher rates, lower rates, backpack sprayers, pump sprayers, plug-in sprayers. I don't know. Think of another sprayer type, Jared. But I mean, we ran this through everything.
The little garden sprayer.
Yeah, garden sprayers. I mean, we have run this and it is rocking. Absolutely rocking. So super excited. It's going to be even better for microbes, better for soil health. You have additional trace elements in there, trace nutrients in there, and keeping everything else the same, essentially with it, with better flowability. So, I mean, it's going to be fantastic. And as always, again, 1 gallon jugs, 50 gallon barrels, or 55, I can't remember. And then 250, 275 gallon totes are available. So whether you're doing it on your lawn, food plots, cover crops, you can use it on all of it.
Bulk pricing available, like with everything else. We're trying to make this easy and scale for people who do more than a quarter acre or whatever. So that's awesome. I'm really excited about the fish rebrand there and really just version 2 of a better product. That smooth spray is going to be an awesome technology. Nobody wants clogged sprayers, clogged filters, anything like that. So I'm pumped about that.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I will just say this, like I'm somebody who considered, I have 2 different 4-wheeler type sprayers, one on my little tractor and one on the 4-wheeler, and I'm somebody who's like, well, maybe I'll upgrade hoses or maybe I'll upgrade pumps. And I'm not saying that's bad, right? I mean, there's something to that. And it probably is something that would be a good idea, but we can't expect our customer base to do that. I can't say, hey, buy this from me, and then I want you to upgrade a pump or something like that. Like, so we really needed to come up with how do we increase the value of a product, make it flow even better. So, again, time's money, right? People are busy, they have families, and rightly so. We don't want you spending all your time away from your family because we clogged your sprayer up. Like, that's not what we want. So we wanted to just make a better product. And quite frankly, if you know me at all, I like diversity, and I wanted to make it more diverse. Like I wanted to add additional things to that to further drive the benefit both for soil and for direct plant feeding. And it can be used for both. You can put it right on the soil at, pre-plant, at plant. You can spray it on new growth, I spray my tomato plants with it every, I'd say 5 to 7 days, maybe 7 to 10 days, depending on kind of weather and timing. I spray on the cover crop growing in between them. I spray them on the tomatoes themselves. As far as food plots go, I probably spray once or twice a growing season is what I've been trying to focus on, at least on those kind of hard or worst off fields to where I feel like they do need a little bit.
I love it, Al. I love it. Let's go to the Revive RX next.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So this is what I'm really excited about. I just think that it's something that, again, those people who want to add something to a field that's just going to be that soil conditioner, you can put it in with, we always recommend a jar test, but we've tested this with, things like, glyphosate and clethodim and no issues, but always, because one of the things that you have to be cognizant of too is everybody's water is different. So if you have well water, or you're getting it out of a creek, or you have city water that's treated a different way, it's always good to do a little jar test. But just simply mix it up, put it in a jar, shake it, let it sit, just see if it coagulates or anything like that. Because again, this has that smooth spread technology. We've had this flowing fantastic. And what is this? Well, we have a lot of people who have contacted us for something like this. Quite honestly, they want to be able to spray a liquid that's going to help to jumpstart biology in the soil, thatch breakdown. So whether you're a farmer that's doing, corn coming into beans, you got a bunch of corn stuff, but you want to break that down faster. The main ingredients here, I'll just list them off. It's a really diverse blend of different complex sugar, sea plants, sea minerals, humics, molasses, and other natural biological stimulants. So we've taken all of this, mixed it together. It is relatively viscous, so keep that in mind. But that's because we want to make sure you're getting the most out of this, and it can get into the soil. It's going to be a soil conditioner. You can do food plots, like for example, if you're mowing off a clover field, right after that, it'll help to cycle those things. You just pull all those clippings instead of letting them sit there, spraying that on there. That's going to jumpstart those microbes. They're going to consume that. That's like fertilizing your clover without having to spend money on a triple 13 or something like that. You can put it down on thatch. You can put it down on pre-plants. You can also, what I think is really cool, and what I like to do with this as I've been testing and getting great results, is you can combine it with the other products. So it's just going to add additional humics, additional microbial food, and it's just going to jumpstart those things as a soil conditioner. Again, 1 gallon can cover up to 3 acres. So again, look at those rates. We recommend about 4 to 6 ounces per gallon if using this as a single thing. If using it as a stack, if you will, with the other products that we've talked about today, we have a chart built for that, but you're going to be using probably about half that rate. So anywhere from say 2 to maybe 3 ounces per gallon, if it's acting as a stack, because we don't want people wasting product either, right? One of the cool things about adding this product, whether you add it with a glyphosate or without, is I always recommend looking at Nicole Masters, really brilliant lady who's done a lot of study on mitigating glyphosate in soils. And a lot of that comes back to our buddies, the microbes. And by having a product like this to feed those microbes, having the humics is tremendously helpful in a lot of her studies to mitigate that risk or length of time in which glyphosate was still found in the soils. They've also found that they could use a lesser rate with an adequate kill. I'm not going to sit here and say I recommend that. I just think there's too many variables, glyphosate resistant weeds, all that stuff. But I certainly do think that by adding this with some of those products and or after you spray those products can help to jumpstart those microbes to cycle those. And lastly, this product can be added to anything. So let's just say you have your favorite liquid micronutrient or your favorite XYZ fertilizer that you like to spray, but you want to just add a little boost to it, right? You want to add a little bit of humus, a little bit of microbe food, all the things that we talked about, a little bit of trace minerals, right? That aren't often something that you hear talked about, things from like the sea, right? Sea plant extracts and things like that. Well, what can you do? Well, you can add this product right alongside it. And it's going to be compatible with darn near everything. I haven't found one that it's not. I've tested a bunch of different things with it, both in jar, in buckets, and through sprayers. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I can say or if I missed on that one, Jared, but it's one of those ones. It's like, if I'm filling up the sprayer, I'm probably going to be adding some Vitalize Revive, because why the heck not?
Well, that's what, you mentioned something there. And I want to ask that chart that will be on the website, when to use it and how much to use and what can you use it with. We're going to be able to answer all those questions right on the website, right there. You'll have a code on the label that will give you right link to the instructions and the website for all this stuff. We're trying to, again, make everything so simple, easy, and just not technical,
But like you said, if my sprayer's loaded up with something, I'm gonna put this down too.
Yeah.
There's no, why not? There's no question. So I love it.
Yeah.
I think the Revive RX is gonna be a banger.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, guys, we talk about our mycorrhizal fungi inoculant, which has been selling like crazy. We talk about phosphorus and no-till nurture and trying to get that in the soils, and there's a lot of guys who will admit that having molasses and complex sugars and humics and things like that can help not only to stimulate plant growth and microbes, but also that mycorrhizal fungi. And that's so important in soil structure and, creating that mycorrhizal fungi network or feeding that mycorrhizal fungi network in conjunction with everything else. So it's similar to me, Jared, like the seed armor. Guys go, well, do I need to inoculate? Do I not? Well, we give it to you in each bag because what does it hurt? Yes. Could we make the argument that some rhizobium is probably in your soil? Yeah, you probably could. But do we want to wait for that to just happen? What if it takes a long time? What if it's a stress for the plant because it's not getting it as quickly as we want? Let's just put it on the seed. That's why I tell people with the Spectrum Plus Myco, I use it. I do cut the rate at about 5 ounces as a seed treatment versus 10. I found that to be about good for 50 pounds of seed. But every time I fill the drill up, it's like seed feed, seed armor, Spectrum Plus Myco. I add those, I coat the seeds, and it's just giving my seed off to that much better start. Now, when I'm filling my sprayer, I'm putting in whatever I want to spray. Like if I'm foliar feeding, I'm putting in these 3 products based on that chart, and I'm going to go out there and feed them.
Yep, love it. That chart's going to be huge, I think, too. So that's a great resource and an asset to have there on the website. Guys, like he said in the beginning of the podcast, we're updating the website constantly with everything to make this simple, educational, and effective. So that really leads me to our last and final new product, which is a foliar, Regen N. That's going to be a amino acid based plant starter and growth booster that we're launching as well. So the third part to the foliar puzzle here, Al.
That's right. And let's just go straight to the punch. If you're looking for a liquid N at a lesser price, an amino acid N is not for you. I mean, I just want to be upfront. Like, it is more expensive, but why do we want to go with that? Again, fitting our ethos. We're not trying to compete with liquid urea, but we want to offer something for those guys who are just like, man, I'm trying to grow corn, or I'm trying to grow tomatoes, or I'm trying to grow carbon load, and I'm just want biomass, but I don't want to use synthetics, right? Well, this product that we've come up with, like all of our others, we've added those goodies, the trace, the smooth spray technology to this. So it's going to go right through your sprayer, no questions asked. But amino acids are really interesting because they're the building blocks of protein. And plants have now, within relatively recent years, right, it's been found that plants can absorb amino acids directly. And it's a far less stressful conversion to plant protein because you're basically taking the building blocks of protein and it's already in that form, right? So it's like starting a Lego set halfway through. Versus when you take it up in, say, inorganic form, which plants are still going to do because the nitrogen cycle was happening when the dinosaurs were here. But when they take those up, that can be a much more stressful conversion to take, say, nitrate all the way then to a plant protein. And that's where a lot of times people will get into, making sure your nitrogen to sulfur ratios are correct for things like nitrogen or protein synthesis, So by going with a Regen N, it's very gentle, but it's very powerful, right? So, it's a non-burning nitrogen. It's going to be readily absorbed through the leaves and the roots. So you don't have to worry about how it does it if something gets on the ground. It's obviously, if you have a thatch buildup, you could use this to help, or at least a little bit of this to help break down that thatch. Anytime you're putting in organic nitrogen down, it's going to help. Well, any type of nitrogen, but certainly this will. And it'll also reduce the volatilization or leaching because it's in an amino acid form. So again, faster uptake, less energy waste, fuels plant protein production, can act as a stress defense because the plant's not wasting energy, right? This is efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. You want to talk about big bucks, you hear some really intelligent people talk about one of the things that's overlooked a lot of times about what impacts a deer's rack is, nutrition and age and all that stuff that they talk about. What about stress, Well, plants are no different. You want to talk about what can impact a plant. Well, certainly stress. If they're worried about trying to get, nitrogen conversion in a drought or something like that, and we can reduce that at all within our power, we're not Mother Nature. that can be very impactful. We also, of course, we're going to do what we love to do at Vitalized Seed, which is going to feed the microbes. So we have natural sugars in there. Sugars are going to act like, root mimicry is something that you could talk about, which root exudate mimicry, which is going to be, feeding those microbes, jump-starting those things. We're not talking about putting so much down here that, plants aren't going to be continuing to do their own root exudation or something like that, right? We're just talking about jump-starting things. We also have calcium in this product. Obviously calcium is pretty critically important. Calcium tends to be one of those products that is one of those things that we see is often low in a lot of soils, specifically food plot soils, not as much on our agriculture side that we work with, but certainly there. This is a product that is very concentrated. So I want to highlight very concentrated. You're going to use 2 to 3 ounces per a gallon of water. So a gallon, although it might seem more costly, it's going to cover about 6.5 acres, where obviously you could cover 1 acre about 6.5 times.
That's crazy. That's super concentrated.
I mean, that's assuming, 10 gallons of water, maybe some put 12 down. Some probably might use a little bit less. So really, it is compatible with your Revive RX as well as your Biocharge. So that's something else I wanted to make mention. And I just think it's a fantastic product. I don't know where else to use it. I mean, you can use it for everything from, vegetables to row crops to food plots to, perennial plots. I mean, I've sprayed it on hydrangeas. I mean, I've pretty much sprayed it on anything and everything I could, lawns, golf courses, whatever, our listeners or customers are interested in applying it to, you can, and it's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to give you amino acid N that's going to be readily absorbed. And it's also going to have the benefits of those trace elements, humics, fulvics, and it's going to spray really easily. So you could use it as a starter, you could use it as a foliar, you could use it as a thatch breakdown, or you could stack it with all 3 of the products together to give you a really well-rounded, kind of triple 13, if you will, in organic nutrients that are going to feed those plants, feed the soil, and get you off to a real good start and indoor foliar feed throughout the growing season.
I love it, Al. I think again the well-roundedness and to your point, everybody here has a lawn who's listening. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people probably have a lawn. It's so much fun to go take the stuff you're using for deer and bring it home, and now your wife's impressed at the hydrangeas or how you're it's just cool to be able to not empty the truck out quite yet. I'm not quite done yet when I get home from the farm, right? So it's pretty awesome on that. And I think if this is all coming off as a lot of information, it's because it is, and it'll all be on the website. But we're here to help. So what we do is, we'll even write you a fertility plan. You've been doing that for guys. Okay, Al, this all sounds great. I still am a little overwhelmed on what to put down on where. Send us your soil tests. Boom, fertility plan. We'll help you map out what to do, as well as the website. We'll have that information too. But I'm excited. We have our seeds, we have our brassicas and clover mixes, the 1-2 system. But this is just, fulfilling all the gaps that they might have throughout the growing season for our deer, So I'm pretty jacked up about it, man. But a lot of work getting this stuff together, and we're really happy to bring it to the customer base and launch these products here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, our goal, like I said, it's awesome working with huge farmers and all the way down to, a small food plotter, we take calls from guys and gals who are gardeners, doing small scale gardening. And we really want to be able to offer from the seed to the harvest, right? Whether that be a deer or whether that be corn or whether that be a tomato or whether that be something else, we want to be able to offer the complete package. And that's really where we're at, I think, currently is we now have things you can put on your seed, things you can put on the soil, things you can foliar apply. We have the seed, whether it's a summer cover crop, a fall cover crop, or a monoculture of brassicas if you want to make your own, or an annual clover mix, or clover oat mix, all the way through. We have your micronutrients. So by doing that, we become one-stop shop for our customers and for the soil and the microbes. And that's really what I think sets us apart, is we're really trying to make sure that every product is backed with we're trying to stay true, right? So if every product has humics in it, right? Every single product except maybe the mycorrhizal fungi has a humics base to it. The Vitalized core micros, the biocharge, the regen, and every single product does. And then we've been able to make it more flowable, and we've been able to add additional things in there to help with microbial digestion and nutrient cycling from the microbes perspective. So I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. And I hope that, if you buy some of the stuff, just tell your wife, say, hey, this isn't for the farm. This is to make our yard look good. Because it is so concentrated. You only have to use a little bit on the yard and then use the rest at the farm. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, as always, guys, we're still looking at soil tests. We're going to recommend lime where lime's needed. We're going to recommend gypsum where gypsum's needed. If you're in a tillage situation, we might recommend something a little bit different than the guys in the no-till. But shoot us an email, give us a call. We're happy to talk to you, and we sure do appreciate everybody. And as always, Jared, thanks for letting me ramble on and talk about some of these products. A lot of work has gone into this, and kudos to you for putting in so much work on this. As well as getting everything set up and ready to rock, because it's been a lot of work, a lot of testing to really get things that we're satisfied with.
Oh, same kudos to you, buddy. You've done a ton on this, and I think it's all going to be great for everybody. It's all free shipping, and it's all at vitalizedseed.com. Thanks again, Al.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to the Habitat Podcast. We really do appreciate you guys coming back every week to get this awesome Habitat content, and we would appreciate it if you went to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us continue to grow and trend in the right direction, attract new listeners, and help us provide better content in the future. Guys, we have a website full of resources. We have a blog on the website. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all linked up at habitatpodcast.com. Our land plan services, merchandise, decals, hats, t-shirts, and I give away a free 5-inch decal to anyone who leaves us a review on Apple iTunes. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our partners, Downburst Seeders, Vitalized Seed Company, Morse Nursery, Packer Max Cultipackers, Stealth Outdoors, First Light Latitude Outdoors, United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties, and Exodus Outdoor Gear. Thanks again, guys. We'll be back next week with another great episode of the Habitat Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.